Hello crafters, this is Nye with All Things Were Created. Today we are going to go through cutting out the Garden Tools Wheelbarrow SVG design. This design is, again, another pretty big file here. It has a lot of different elements and components to it, and so I thought it would just be easier if we walked through the steps together of cutting it so that way we are using as few mats as possible and that we're able to do it fairly quickly. So first thing is first, I'm going to be using Cricut Design Space, and you're going to want to make sure that you have Design Space open and that you are on a brand new blank canvas. You're going to come over to the left side of your screen, and then you're going to scroll until you find the upload button, and then you're going to click that. This is going to take you to the Design Space upload screen. What you want to do is click Upload Image, and then you're going to click Browse, and you're going to find where on your computer, your laptop, your device, wherever it is that you downloaded the file from the website, you are going to want to go to that spot and find the file that has SVG written on it or at the end of it. Select that file and then upload it into Design Space. You're going to come to the screen and then you want to add it into your actual Design Space account. Mine is already added in, so I'm actually just going to go back. It's going to end up on this screen. You're going to select the design, and then you're going to select Add to Canvas in the lower right corner of your screen. That's now going to bring it onto your canvas mat. I'm going to grab mine, and then I'm just going to bring it up here towards the corner so I can see it. And I'm also going to hit my zoom out button just once so I can get a feel for all of the elements here. Now that I can see everything, I'm going to come over to the Layers panel, and I'm going to select the Ungroup button just once to start here. And I'm going to go through now and hide some of these smaller elements because I'm going to cut those out later. So I'm going to use the Layers panel here, and I'm going to select the eyeball to hide the hose. And again, to hide the metal part of these tools here. So again, I'm just selecting the eyeball. I'm scrolling and selecting it, the eyeball. I'm going to hide this upper part of the seeds packets. And I am going to hide this front part of the wheelbarrow as well. But I am also going to remember this because I'm going to hide the fork and the rake here as well. I'm not going to cut these out first. So I'm going to hide those by selecting the eyeball, hide the leafy part of the vegetables, and I'm going to keep scrolling. I need to also hide the ribbon that's on the hat. So I'm going to scroll until I find that, which is this one here. I'm going to select the eyeball to hide it. And then this gray part of the wheelbarrow here, I'm going to hide that as well because I'm going to cut those at the same time with the front part of the wheelbarrow. And so that leaves me with all of these, and which are the bigger parts of the wheelbarrow. And so I'm going to now just select Make It and go to my mat preview screen. Okay, so now that I'm on my mat preview screen, I can see that the software has prepared 9 mats for me. I am going to use this scroll bar here on the left side of my screen just to scroll through and take a note of all of the mats that have been prepared. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pause the video as I'm recording here. I'm going to go and prepare all of my cardstock in this order that I can see here, and then I will be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and I prepared my cardstock, and I have them in the order that my software has prepared for me. And now what I'm ready to do is just to select Continue, which will now take me to my cut settings. I am going to cut all of these layers out on the 80-pound cardstock setting. And I'm just waiting for my computer to connect with my machine. It actually stuck mine on the Cardstock Plus, so I'm going to go and adjust it for the 80-pound cardstock setting here. Okay, so I had to go and just turn my machine, my dial to the 80-pound cardstock setting. I'm going to cut all 9 of these layers and mats on this setting. And I'm just going to take note of my order, and I'm going to go ahead and press go. After these have all cut, I'll meet you back on the canvas, and then we'll cut out the next part. Okay, so I'm back. I just finished cutting out all 9 of these layers and everything cut beautifully. So now what I'm ready to do is, if you've been following along with me now, you know that once I get my bigger files cut, when I get a element cut, I like to delete it. So I'm actually just going to take my mouse, drag a box around all of these, and then I'm just going to press my delete button to remove it from the canvas. So that way now I don't get confused with anything else. I'm going to go back and cut the dark gray layer, which will be my fork and my rake. And so I'm going to look for it here on my layers panel, and I found it. It's right here. I'm going to select the eyeball to unhide it. And I'm just going to move it over. Well, I'm going to bring it about there. And I'm also going to scroll up to the top where the front part of the wheelbarrow will be. And it's going to be this section right here. I'm going to ungroup it from here by selecting the eyeball again. And these are all grouped together. So I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to ungroup it again. And I'm going to hide these brown ones, which are part of the handlebars themselves. So I'm selecting the eyeball to hide those. And I'm going to grab this part of the, I don't know what you would call this. I guess it's still part of the bar. I'm going to take my mouse here. I'm going to grab it along the edge of the bounding box, and I'm just going to rotate it here so that way it looks like it's on a 0 plane. And I'm going to bring it up to about here. I'm going to bring this down a little bit more. I'm just going to bring it up to about there so that way I'm maximizing the amount of my paper. I'm going to move this one over. And then I'm going to grab this part of the wheelbarrow, which I guess would be the legs. I'm going to select it. And again, I'm just going to bring that up to about here as well. So that way it will cut there. And I'm going to bring this up a little bit higher. And that's it. I'm going to use a 12 by 12 inch dark gray cardstock. I'm going to move this down just a little bit further, or move it in, I should say, just a little bit further. And so this is all going to fit on one mat. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drag another box around all 3 of these elements. I'm going to right click in here and then select attach, or you can also come over to the lower right corner and select attach there. So I'm going to attach it. And now I'm going to select make it, and I can check out how they're going to line up on my mat, and that looks good. I'm going to select continue. I've already, I didn't load it into my machine. I can see it from here. So I'm going to, when my computer connects, I'm going to cut this on the cardstock 80-pound cut setting. I'm going to load my mat into my machine, and then I'm going to select go, and I'll meet you back on the canvas for the next cut. Okay, so I'm back on my canvas now. I just finished cutting these out. Everything cut beautifully. I am going to now select the elements here. I'm going to also click this undo button in the upper left corner just to detach them all from the canvas. And again, I'm going to select them all and then just delete them again from my mat. Okay. And what I'm left with now are just going to be a lot of the finer details to the design, and I'm going to unhide everything. So I'm going to start at the very top, and again, just begin selecting all of these eyeballs to unhide everything that's left. And I just realized that I did not cut out the black part of the hose there when I was doing the black layers, but that's okay because I'll just have to add a piece at the end here. So I have unhidden everything, and what I'm going to do now is just to begin to arrange them here on my canvas. I'm going to group them by like colors. So these two parts of the seeds are grouped together. So I'm going to select one and then just select the ungroup button to ungroup them from each other. I'm going to select the other one and again select the ungroup button. And I'm going to take this top part and cut it on the same cardstock color as the part of the shovel. And again, I'm just going to bring this one over to there. I'm going to take this part, put it right here around the 4 mark. And the two white ones I'm going to bring over here around the 8. And this is going to be a dark brown. So I'm going to bring that around to the 3. Well, I'll take the green ones first. So the hose is still grouped together. So I selected it. And again, I'm going to come over to the layers panel and just ungroup it. And I'm going to grab the green part here. I'm going to grab the green. So I'm going to move this over and grab the green and put it around the 3 mark here. And then these parts of the vegetables I'm going to bring in right about there as well. And I will take the ribbon and bring it right there to this 3 and the 4 mark. And then these two parts of the handlebars, I'm going to take them both at the same time and bring them over to about the 8 and the 3 mark. And then the black, I'll bring it down here to about the 4 and the 6 mark. And then the yellow, I'll bring it to the 8 and the 6. So again, hopefully what you can see with what I'm doing here on the screen is I'm really just taking the elements and kind of putting them into a corner on the coordinates of the mat, which is going to be right here at like the 6 and the 4. So that's where my black piece of cardstock is going to go that will cut this part of the hose. The same thing with these 3 lighter green elements. They are at the 3-inch mark here, and I'm going to need to get like a 3-inch by, a 4-inch by maybe, yes, a 4-inch by 3-inch square of light green cardstock. So I'm going to line these up here, and what I'm going to do now is, did I really get everything off of the layers panel? I did. Okay, so these are all the last elements. I'm going to grab them all, drag this box around all of the elements, and then I'm going to attach them here on the mat. So that way I can position everything and they won't move around when I go to the mat preview screen. So I'm just going to select the attach button down here in the lower right corner, which attaches everything to the mat. And then I'm going to select make it here. And so now everything is in the position I want it to be for cutting on my mat. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut pieces of cardstock, scrap pieces that I have, and I'm going to line everything up here on my mat in my cardstock pieces, so that way the cardstock is positioned exactly where I want it to be, or where these are lined up here, so that way they will cut on the correct color and they will be in the correct position. So I'm going to pause the video here for just a moment. I'm going to prepare my mat and I will be right back. Okay, so I just finished lining up all of the different colors of cardstock on my mat. I have them all in the correct position, and now I'm ready to select continue. So I'm going to select continue, and I'm going to wait for my machine to connect here. For these cuts here, I'm actually going to cut these on the cardstock for intricate cut setting. I'm going to do that especially because of the seeds layer part, the white part of the top of the seeds bag. Those are really small cuts, and I just want to slow the blade down just a little bit so that way it doesn't rip the cardstock and nothing happens. So I'm going to select the cardstock for intricate cut setting. I have it as part of my favorites here. If you don't have that as part of your favorites, you can select this browse all materials setting, and then you can scroll until you find the cardstock for intricate cuts. It should be right underneath the cardstock setting. And then just select it, select done, and then it will adjust for that setting. And then just select go on your machine and you should be ready to cut. Everything should cut perfectly. I'm going to let this go, and I will meet you in the next video where we're going to go through the assembly. Okay? Thanks so much for cutting with me. I'll see you next time.